They were the couple who made America laugh. Two stars whose love story burned brightly, both on screen and behind it. Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball were more than just actors. They were television royalty, the faces that turned I Love Lucy into a cultural phenomenon. Together, they redefined comedy, built an empire, and captured hearts with every glance and perfectly timed punchline. But when the cameras stopped rolling, their world was no longer filled with laughter. It was filled with heartbreak, distance, and pain that even fame could not fix. So what really happened to television's golden couple, and how did their story end in tragedy? Join us as we uncover the heartbreaking final chapter of Desi and Lucy's once unbreakable bond. From Cuban nobility to Hollywood's conga king. Before the fame, before the laughter, before I Love Lucy turned him into a household name, Desi Arnaz's story began in the warm heart of Santiago de Cuba, a world far removed from Hollywood's flashing lights. Born into privilege, Desi came from Cuban nobility. His father, Desiderio Alberto Arnaz y de Alberni II, was Santiago's youngest mayor and a respected member of Cuba's House of Representatives. His mother, Dolores Lolita de Acha, was the daughter of a Bacardi executive. The Arnaz name carried weight, wealth, status, and comfort. But all of it would vanish overnight. In 1933, the Cuban Revolution erupted, destroying everything the family had built. Angry mobs stormed their estate, burning their home, slaughtering livestock, and seizing their land. Desi narrowly escaped by leaping into a passing car, but his father was not as lucky. He was jailed and stripped of everything he owned, only released months later thanks to his father-in-law's influence. By then, the Arnazes had lost it all. Once aristocrats, they became refugees. Fleeing to Miami, they arrived with nothing but hope. The family that had once lived in luxury now slept in a rat-infested garage. Desi's mother joined them later, but the strain destroyed his parents' marriage. Poverty hit hard, but it built the grit that would come to define him. Desi took whatever work he could find, cleaning canary cages, stacking shelves at Woolworths, and helping his father's small tile business. But he wanted more than survival. He wanted success. In 1934, he enrolled at St. Leo Prep near Tampa to improve his English and broaden his horizons. There, he learned to adapt, hustle, and dream bigger. Yet his true gift was not in business or books. After high school, he joined the Siboney Septet, a Latin band that quickly made waves in Miami's nightlife. His charisma was magnetic, his drumming electric. It was not long before he caught the eye of Xavier Cugat, one of America's most celebrated band leaders. Cugat hired him for his touring orchestra, and Desi's rise began. With every beat of the conga drum, the boy who had fled Cuba was becoming a star. But Desi was not meant to stand in anyone's shadow. Soon he formed his own group, the Desi Arnaz Orchestra, and New York could not get enough. His band lit up the city's top clubs, especially La Conga, where he introduced America to something it had never seen before. The conga line. The rhythm caught on like wildfire. Desi had turned Cuban music into an American obsession. Then Broadway came calling. The legendary Rodgers and Hart spotted his energy and cast him in their 1939 hit, Too Many Girls. The show was a smash, and Hollywood quickly took notice. RKO Pictures bought the rights and invited Desi to star in the film adaptation. Just like that, he was heading west to the city of dreams. Hollywood would change everything. In 1940, while filming Too Many Girls, Desi met Lucille Ball, the sharp red-haired actress whose ambition matched his own. The chemistry was instant, fiery, playful, and real. By November 30th, 1940, they eloped. It was not just a romance, it was destiny in motion. Throughout the 1940s, Desi kept building his career, appearing in films like Baton, alongside Robert Taylor. His performance as Felix Ramirez, a lively soldier, earned praise for its authenticity and charm. But Hollywood soon gave way to duty, as the world was at war, and Desi was drafted in 1943. His body, however, had other plans. Old knee injuries and hypertension disqualified him from overseas service. Instead, he was assigned to the United Service Organization, entertaining wounded soldiers at the Birmingham General Army Hospital in the San Fernando Valley. There, Desi poured his heart into his work. He organized shows, brought in movie stars, and found creative ways to lift morale. When he discovered the soldiers longed for a simple glass of cold milk, he arranged for Hollywood starlets to personally deliver it, a small act of kindness that made a world of difference. For 2 years, 7 months, and 4 days, Staff Sergeant Desi Arnaz served his country through laughter and music. He earned 3 medals: the Army Good Conduct Medal, the American Campaign Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. But more than that, he earned something far greater: purpose. By the time he was honorably discharged in 1945, Desi had lived many lives: Cuban refugee, factory worker, band leader, Broadway star, soldier, and now a man reborn. From a rat-infested garage in Miami to the glimmering stages of New York and Hollywood, Desi Arnaz had already defied every odds. And yet, the greatest chapter of his life was still ahead, the one that would make him, alongside Lucille Ball, the heartbeat of American television. Building the Lucy Empire. How Desi changed television forever. Fresh out of the Army and hungry to perform again, Desi Arnaz wasted no time reclaiming his rhythm. On December 1st, 1945, he formed a brand new orchestra, one that quickly became a hit, both on stage and in recordings. Desi's natural charm and Latin flair made him irresistible to audiences, and he was not just a performer. He was a showman who knew how to turn music into magic. At the Birmingham Hospital, he continued singing for the troops, often joined by John Macchia, while his childhood friend Marco Rizzo played piano and arranged music for the orchestra. By the 1946 to 1947 season, Desi had taken another major step, becoming the band leader for the Pepsodent show, Bob Hope's popular NBC radio program. Week after week, he conducted the Desi Arnaz Orchestra, filling homes across America with his sound. He was no longer the refugee boy from Miami. He was now one of the most sought-after names in entertainment. When CBS wanted to keep Desi and Lucille Ball from being lured away by NBC, they gave him his own show, a musical game program called Your Tropical Trip. Airing in 1951, the radio show featured Desi's orchestra and allowed audience members to compete for a Caribbean vacation. It was light, fun, and full of that tropical Desi energy America had come to love. It ran until September 1951, ending just in time for the premiere of something far bigger, I Love Lucy. That October, television history was made. I Love Lucy debuted on October 15, 1951, with Desi playing Ricky Ricardo, a passionate Cuban bandleader who was really just a fictionalized version of himself. His co-star was his real-life wife, Lucille Ball. The couple's chemistry on screen was undeniable, but getting there had not been easy. CBS originally wanted Lucille's radio co-star, Richard Denning, to play her husband. However, Lucille refused. She wanted Desi, and only Desi. She knew that if they did not work together, their marriage would not survive the constant distance of Hollywood. At first, the network was skeptical. Executives did not believe audiences would accept a red-headed American woman married to a Cuban man with a thick accent. They thought it was too unusual for television. But Desi and Lucy were not the kind to back down. Determined to prove the skeptics wrong, they took their act on the road in 1950, performing a vaudeville show they created with Spanish clown Pepito Perez and Lucille's radio writers. It was packed with comedy, music, and the charm that made them irresistible together. The act was a smash hit, and suddenly, CBS could not deny it anymore. America loved them. Much of that vaudeville material ended up shaping I Love Lucy. including Lucy's famous seal act in the pilot episode. By the time the show hit the airwaves, Desi and Lucille had transformed into television's golden couple. Funny, relatable, and wildly in love. Behind the laughter, though, Desi was not just acting. He was reinventing the way television was made. Together, Desi and Lucille founded Desi Lu Productions in 1950, at first just to manage their touring act. However, that small company would go on to revolutionize the entire industry. At a time when most TV shows were filmed live in New York, Desi had a different vision. He wanted I Love Lucy filmed in Hollywood, using multiple cameras and 35mm film so that every episode could be rebroadcast in top quality across the country. Everyone told him it was impossible. They said you could not film in front of a live audience or afford the cost of film. But Desi, working with cameraman Carl Freund, proved them wrong. They designed a set that could safely host an audience, accommodate multiple cameras, and capture every laugh with crystal clarity. It was a risk that paid off. To make it work, Desi and Lucille even took salary cuts in exchange for owning the rights to the filmed episodes. That decision birthed the idea of reruns and syndication. Without realizing it, they had just changed how television made money forever. While I Love Lucy was breaking records, Desi was building an empire behind the scenes. Under Desi Lu Productions, he not only produced their own show, but also helped create other hit series, such as The Ann Sothern Show, Those Whiting Girls, The Untouchables, Whirlybirds, and Sheriff of Cochise. He was a creative powerhouse who blended business sense with showmanship. At the height of his success, rumors swirled that his mob-centered show, The Untouchables, had angered real gangsters. Some claims in later years even suggested Desi was targeted in a mafia plot. Though he dismissed those stories, it showed just how deeply his work had embedded itself in American culture. Desi and Lucille also starred together in the 1956 film Forever Darling, but by then, the cracks in their marriage had begun to show. Still, Desi's mark on television was undeniable. Even after their divorce, Desi Lu Productions continued thriving, producing iconic shows and shaping Hollywood's golden era. In 1962, Desi sold his shares of Desi Lu to Lucille, closing the chapter on their legendary business partnership. However, he did not stop creating. He went on to form Desi Arnaz Productions, where he produced the NBC sitcom The Mothers-in-Law from 1967 to 1969. He even appeared occasionally as a charming Spanish matador named Señor Delgado. Though the original Desi Lu evolved over time, its impact never faded. The company became the foundation for Desi Lu 2, a production house that continued to honor the legacy of both Desi and Lucy through reruns, home videos, and restored classics. Their laughter, their love, and their vision lived on long after the cameras stopped rolling. But behind the success stories and boardroom deals was a much deeper truth, the one that had always defined them. Long before the contracts, the studio lights, and the millions of viewers tuning in every week, there had been just two people: a fiery redhead with dreams bigger than Hollywood, and a young Cuban band leader who stole her heart. And that's where their story truly begins. Love, Lies, and Lucy. The rise and fall of Hollywood's golden couple. The year was 1940, and fate was about to pull off one of Hollywood's most unforgettable pairings. A bold, sharp-witted redhead met a flirtatious Cuban musician whose charm could melt steel. Lucille Ball was 28, already a rising star with an iron will. Desi Arnaz was 23, magnetic, smooth, and 5 years her junior. They met on the set of Too Many Girls, the RKO musical that would change both their lives forever and, ironically, mirror the chaos of their love story years later. Desi had been the heartbeat of the Broadway version, while Lucy starred in the film adaptation. On paper, they did not make sense. She preferred older, taller men. He was young, spontaneous, and engaged to someone else. But sparks do not follow logic, and for Lucy and Desi, it was instant combustion. Friends recalled how quickly Lucy fell under Desi's spell. She doted on him, eager to make him happy. Actress Ruta Lee once shared that it was surprising to see someone as strong and independent as Lucy become so old-fashioned with Desi, moving aside if he needed space, catering to his whims, and placing his comfort above her own. She wanted him to feel adored, and for a while he did. But the passion that burned so brightly also carried the seeds of their downfall. When filming ended, Lucy went on tour to promote the film, while Desi returned to his band and late-night performances. Rumors soon reached her that he had reconnected with an old flame, Betty Grable. Furious, Lucy stormed to his home and lashed out, calling him a Cuban son of Abj. Their fights were fiery and emotional, but even in anger, their connection was undeniable. To end the chaos, Desi proposed. 6 months after they met, on November 30th, 1940, they eloped. It was impulsive, passionate, and completely in love. But while love had brought them together, distance began to tear them apart. Desi's nights were filled with music and parties that stretched till dawn, while Lucy's mornings began before sunrise on set. She once joked that their only meetings happened in the Sepulveda tunnel, a bittersweet truth for a couple pulled in opposite directions. Still, Lucy believed she could save them. Her publicist, Charles Pomerantz, remembered her saying that getting pregnant might finally keep Desi home. For a moment, she was right, but heartbreak soon followed, with several miscarriages before she finally gave birth to their first child, Lucy, in 1951. By then, the cracks were deep. In 1944, Lucy even filed for divorce, exhausted by Desi's drinking and rumored affairs. Yet, they could not stay apart for long. They talked, reconciled, and found a way to merge love and business. A move that would not only revive their marriage for a time, but also change television forever. When CBS asked Lucy to bring her hit radio show, My Favorite Husband, to television, she refused, unless Desi played her on-screen husband as well. Executives doubted audiences would accept a Cuban man with a strong accent opposite an all-American woman. So Lucy and Desi took their act on the road, performing a vaudeville routine that left audiences roaring with laughter. Their chemistry was undeniable. CBS finally gave in. Together, they built Desi Productions, television's first independent studio. Desi, always the strategist, convinced CBS to film I Love Lucy, an unheard-of move that allowed for reruns and made them millionaires. For a while, love and success lived side by side. But as I Love Lucy became a cultural phenomenon, the same fame that brought them fortune began to tear them apart. As their empire grew, so did their family. Their daughter Lucy was born just months before I Love Lucy premiered in 1951, and their son, Desi Jr., arrived in 1953. When Lucy's pregnancy was written into the show, a first for television, it became a national sensation. 40 million viewers tuned in weekly to watch the Ricardos, falling in love with the same couple who were falling apart behind the scenes. Director William Asher later recalled that during the Birth of Little Ricky episode, Desi was deeply emotional. You could feel the love radiating from him. He adored Lucy, but that love was not enough to silence the chaos outside the studio. Desi's drinking worsened, fueled by the pressure of running Desi and living in Lucy's shadow. He confessed later that the burden of being Mr. Ball, the husband of America's favorite woman, pushed him to the edge. Despite their success, his insecurities and vices took control. The same man who once brought her laughter was now breaking her heart. Lucy filed for divorce again in 1944, a move that nearly became final until California law overturned it, due to the couple spending one last night together. But by 1960, the marriage had reached its true breaking point. His drinking, gambling, and affairs, including the shocking claims from Hollywood insider Scotty Bowers that Desi regularly hired prostitutes, shattered what little trust remained. Lucy once confronted Bowers herself, slapping him across the face and shouting, "You! Stop pimping for my husband." It was the end of an era. On March 2, 1960, Desi's birthday, Lucy finally divorced him for good. After 2 decades of laughter, tears, and television magic, Hollywood's golden couple had officially fallen apart. Yet, even after the cameras stopped rolling, their love never truly died. They both remarried, Desi to Edith Mack Hirsch in 1963. But friends said they never stopped loving each other. Actress Carol Channing recalled that when Lucy and Desi spoke about one another, it was with so much tenderness that you would almost forget they were no longer together. From small-town girl to America's queen of comedy. Before she became the most famous redhead on television, Lucille Ball was just a small-town girl from Jamestown, New York, with big dreams and a stubborn will to prove everyone wrong. She was born on August 6, 1911, at 69 Stewart Avenue, a modest home that would one day be remembered as the birthplace of a legend. Her father, Henry Durrell Ball, worked as a lineman for Bell Telephone, a job that kept the family constantly on the move. Her mother, Dee Dee, was warm but tough, the kind of woman who knew how to hold a family together through anything. Lucy's childhood was far from easy. The family moved from New York to Montana, then to New Jersey, chasing work and stability. But tragedy struck when she was only 3. Her father contracted typhoid fever and died at just 27 years old, leaving Dee Dee pregnant with their second child, Fred. The only thing Lucy remembered from that day was a bird flying around the house, an image that haunted her for life and sparked her fear of birds. After her father's death, Dee Dee moved the family back to New York. Lucy and her brother grew up in Celeron, a lakeside village where her grandparents helped raise them. Their home, later renamed Lucy Lane, was filled with extended family, including her aunt, uncle, and cousin Cleo, who would one day become her close collaborator. Celeron itself was a bright spot in Lucy's young life. She loved its amusement park, the roller coasters, the bandstand, and the vaudeville shows that planted the first seeds of her passion for performing. But not everything about her childhood was joyful. When her mother remarried, Lucy and Fred were sent to live with her stepfather's strict Swedish parents. They were puritanical and joyless, banning mirrors and punishing vanity. When Lucy once admired herself in the bathroom mirror, they scolded her harshly. She later said those years left a scar that stayed with her for most of her youth. Still, her stepfather gave her a gift without realizing it. When she was 12, he encouraged her to audition for a local Shriners chorus line. The moment Lucy stepped on stage, she discovered something that would define her forever: the power of applause. She craved it and lived for it. Performance became her escape and her purpose. Her teenage years were a mix of rebellion and ambition. At 14, she fell for Johnny DeVita, a 21-year-old troublemaker her mother despised. Desperate to end the romance, Dee Dee used Lucy's growing fascination with show business as a distraction. In 1926, she sent her to New York City to attend the John Murray Anderson School for the Dramatic Arts. The dream did not go as planned. Surrounded by talented classmates like Bette Davis, Lucy struggled. Her teachers bluntly told her she did not have what it took to be an actress. Most would have quit. Lucy did not. 2 years later, she returned to New York with fire in her veins and something to prove. She landed a job as a model for fashion designer Hattie Carnegie, who insisted she bleach her hair blonde. Lucy did it, learning how to slouch, pose, and wear expensive clothes as if she had been born into luxury. But fate was not done testing her. A battle with rheumatic fever forced her to take a 2-year break, halting everything she had worked for. When she recovered, she came back stronger. By 1932, she was back in New York, hustling to make ends meet as a cigarette girl and chorus performer under the stage name Diane Belmont. But her Broadway dreams fizzled quickly. She was hired and fired from multiple shows, including Vanities and Rio Rita. Still, she refused to give up. Her big break came when she landed a tiny uncredited role as a Goldwyn girl in Roman Scandals. That was all she needed, a foot in the Hollywood door. Lucy packed her bags and moved to Los Angeles, determined to turn small parts into a big career. Through the 1930s, she became a regular face in RKO films, a background player who slowly fought her way forward. She danced in Three Little Pigskins with the Three Stooges, appeared in Room Service with the Marx Brothers, and worked alongside Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers in Top Hat and Follow the Fleet. In 1937, she shared the screen with Katharine Hepburn and Ginger Rogers, again in Stage Door, proving she could hold her own among Hollywood's best. By the late 1930s, Lucy was known around the studio as the Queen of the B's. Not for her beauty, but for the endless string of B-movies she carried on her back. From Five Came Back to The Big Street, with Henry Fonda, she built a reputation for hard work and sharp comedic timing. When MGM cast her in Dewberry Was a Lady and Best Foot Forward, she finally started to look like the star she knew she could be. Behind the glamour, though, Lucy's heart longed for more than fame. In 1940, destiny handed it to her in the form of a charming Cuban bandleader named Desi Arnaz. They met while filming Too Many Girls. He was one of her bodyguards in the movie, and before filming wrapped, he became one in real life. The connection was electric. They fell in love fast and hard, setting the stage for one of Hollywood's most iconic romances. Though their romance was iconic, it ended at divorce, with both parties becoming lifelong friends up until Arnaz's death, the heartbreaking death of Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball. They were once the heartbeat of American television, the couple who made the world laugh, cry, and believe in love that could survive anything. But when the laughter faded and the cameras stopped rolling, their story ended not in happiness, but in heartbreak. Decades after I Love Lucy made them icons, Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball faced their final chapters far from the spotlight, two stars bound together by love, even in death. Desi's health had been fragile for years. As a young man, he had injured his knees before and during his World War II service. The pain never truly left him, and it was bad enough to keep him from being sent overseas. Decades later, another accident nearly took his life. In the late 1960s, the floor of his Baja California home suddenly gave way, and he was impaled by a tree stump. Though doctors saved him through emergency surgery, Desi's health was never the same again. He struggled with intestinal problems and painful bouts of diverticulitis, often ending up in hospitals for treatment. Still, the man who built an empire refused to slow down. But after losing his second wife, Edith Mack Hirsch, in 1985, Desi faced one battle he could no longer ignore: his addiction to alcohol. Years of heavy drinking had ravaged his body, and it was his children, Lucy and Desi Jr., who convinced him to get help. Lucy would later recall how proud she was the day her father stood up at a recovery meeting and introduced himself simply, "I'm Desi, and I'm an alcoholic." For a man who had lived his life on stage, this was his most vulnerable moment of all. Desi's fiery temper had also made headlines more than once. In 1959, he was arrested on Hollywood Boulevard for public intoxication. Then, in 1966, he found himself in even deeper trouble after confronting two young men outside his home who were allegedly harassing his teenage daughter, Lucy. In a fit of anger, Desi threatened to shoot their tires and fired 2 bullets into the ground. He was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon and spent 3 hours in jail before posting bail. For all his charm, Desi was a man of passion, quick to love, quick to anger, and never afraid to defend what mattered to him. When he finally retired from Hollywood, he sought peace in the simple pleasures that once brought him joy. He spent his days sailing his yacht, fishing, cooking Cuban food, and managing his horse breeding farm in California. He named one of Del Mar Racetrack's most beloved events the Desi Arnaz Stakes, after his lifelong love for horses. Even as his health declined, Desi remained active in charity work and community events. In 1982, he stood proudly on stage at Carnival Miami, performing alongside his children before a crowd of 35,000 fans. But the years caught up with him. A lifetime of smoking, first cigarettes on the set of I Love Lucy, then cigars, took its toll. In 1986, Desi was diagnosed with lung cancer. He began treatment, but the disease was aggressive. During those painful months, Lucille Ball came to see him. They sat together, side by side, watching old VHS tapes of I Love Lucy, their younger selves dancing, arguing, and laughing. The magic that once united them flickered again, this time through the grainy glow of a television screen. By late November, Desi could barely speak or eat. On November 30th, 1986, which would have been their 46th wedding anniversary, Lucy called him one last time. Their daughter, Lucy, had to hold the phone to her father's ear because he was too weak to lift it himself. Over the line, Lucy's voice was soft and full of emotion. I love you. I love you. Desi, I love you, she told him again and again. Desi managed to whisper back, I love you too, honey. Good luck with your show. Those were his final words to her. 2 days later, on December 2nd, 1986, Desi Arnaz died in Del Mar, California. He was 69 years old. His ashes were scattered over the Sea of Cortez, a fitting goodbye for a man whose life had been as unpredictable and passionate as the ocean itself. A private funeral was held at St. James Roman Catholic Church in Solana Beach, attended by about 100 people. Lucille was there, quietly crying in the pews as she said goodbye to the man who had once been her everything. At the center of the sanctuary stood a photo of Desi as a young, smiling musician, a reminder of the energy that had once captivated the world. Actor Danny Thomas, one of the many who owed their careers to Desi, gave a touching eulogy. I will never ever forget his tremendous help to me, he said. And I speak not only about what he did for me, but also what he has done for the entire industry. Television owes him a tremendous debt of gratitude, and no one, but no one, has ever come close to the kind of TV Desi brought with Lucy to this industry. Lucille Ball lived 3 more years without him, but those who knew her said she never stopped missing Desi. In April 1989, she was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles after suffering severe chest pains. Doctors discovered a dissecting aortic aneurysm and performed a 7-hour surgery to repair her aorta and replace a valve. She survived the operation, and for a short time, it seemed as though the worst was over. But on April 26, 1989, Lucille woke with intense back pain and suddenly lost consciousness. At 5:47 a.m., the woman who had made America laugh for decades passed away from a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm. She was 77 years old. 3 memorial services were held in her honor. She was cremated, her ashes initially placed at Forest Lawn in Hollywood Hills beside her mother. Years later, in 2002, her remains were moved to her hometown of Jamestown, New York, to rest beside her mother and brother, just as she had always wanted. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz changed the face of television. But beyond the fame, they were 2 people who loved each other deeply, even when love was not easy. Their final words to each other said it all. Simple, honest, and eternal. I love you. Even after death, that love never really went away. Were you a fan of I Love Lucy? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also click on the next video shown on the screen. You will enjoy it.